From the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters.
Show us a mountain and we'll just climb it. Show us an ocean and we'll just cross it.
It's your morning addiction. Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
Facing the future without fear.
The Zimmer News Team.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, these people want to literally redistribute the wealth.
And now, introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Iran said overnight the Strait of Hormuz
Good morning.
is
Good
closed.
morning.
CENTCOM came out this morning and said
no, we need our sound.
Is open. Which is it, Mr. President? And how are you going to?
You are listening.
Good morning. It's Jennifer Bukowski in for Randy Tobler. Peter Thiele is here for Stephanie Bell, John Marsh, producer Drake. And what a news weekend. We saw the death of Lindsey Graham, the senator, on Saturday night at the age of 71, a surprise death. And we are still awaiting toxicology before they determine the official cause of death. They have made a preliminary diagnosis for his cause of death as being an aortic valve distortion or something like that.
Yeah, aortic dissection or whatever that was.
But that does not eliminate the possibility of a substance being used to cause that, because that can be caused by like an overdose, or which could be a knowing or unknowing overdose. And I think it could be natural causes, and that's what we hope it is. But for a man that was just in Kiev, Ukraine, opposing the Russians, who have been known to
kill people.
Some stuff. Yeah, kill people with substances. For a man that was 6 days prior at a funeral for Ayatollah Khomeini, they were chanting death to him with a bullet, crosshairs on his face. I think they're going to do a thorough investigation to ensure that this is natural causes. One of Trump's greatest allies in the Senate, Trump said he was able to talk to both Republicans and Democrats to get things done. If he was having problems with the Democrat, Lindsey could work his magic. So pretty upset, it seems like President Trump was. And in that clip we just played, he said, I don't want to talk about anything but Senator Lindsey Graham.
So it's Randy Tobler, by the way, calls me at 5:14 this morning. And he cannot say a word. And he cannot say a word at all.
Oh, no.
And so that is part of the fun that we're having right here. John Marsh is here, by the way.
Good morning, John.
Well, we can't hear John Marsh.
I can't hear John Marsh.
So we'll figure this out. We'll get this going.
Yeah.
Happy
good.
Monday morning.
Yeah, it's a Monday indeed, isn't it? That's when these things always happen. Did you see Sophie Cunningham was a
ring girl?
A ring girl.
Yes, Dana at the White. Octagon, UFC, baby.
Here's Dana White talking about that.
When did you hire Sophie Cunningham as a ring card girl?
Why did I do it?
When did you hire her?
About 8 minutes before she did it. I love Sophie Cunningham. We've created a relationship, and she was here tonight. And when she walked in, she goes, "Oh, I want to walk around that." I said, "Then you're going to walk around it." Yeah.
She's fun. She looks pretty good doing it. So she's getting a lot of press these days, and we're proud of her. She's a native Missourian, went to University of Missouri, and from Columbia. So it's good seeing her get the attention. Meanwhile, CNN's Abby Phillips claims the Republicans back Caitlin Clark, who would be Sophie Cunningham's buddy, teammate that she's had to physically defend before, solely because she is white. What do we think of this? 573-874-9390. She said that's the only reason that Republicans are backing Caitlin Clark. How about that Caitlin Clark was like the GOAT of women's basketball?
I hate to tell you this. I'm going to give you a little history lesson. There was a guy named Michael Jordan who everybody loved.
Neither of which are the GOAT. What are we talking about, guys?
Absolutely the best football or basketball player ever. And, he was a black guy. guess what? No one cares. Here's what they want to see. They want to see a great player. That's all they care about. They don't care about somebody's race. I mean, come on, everybody. You just get over it.
Caitlin Clark is not the GOAT, though. She can't win the big one. That's like saying, I don't even have an example from the NBA. Like, she has not won the big one. She was good in college.
Okay,
hasn't transferred
she's only
over
been in the
yet.
league 2 years. Okay, give her some time. And again, Drake.
In college, she was the GOAT. For men and women, scored more baskets
scored
than
more
anyone.
points than anybody, male or female.
Right. So that's GOAT-worthy title. I think she's a GOAT for that.
Iffy at best.
Okay.
Well, hopefully she survives because they keep it physically attacking her, which really bothers me. And what are these commissioners doing that they aren't putting the kibosh on that just for the
Protect
safety
your
of their
league.
players and the league? Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
But maybe they like it because it's turning into like the WWE and people are tuning in to watch for that very reason. It's like hockey. They get in the fights and that's become part of that culture. Maybe they're doing that in basketball.
Okay, I can't let Drake off of this. He just gave shade to Caitlin Clark. This is a guy who at his workspace has 5 football cards for Joe Burrow.
No, 3 for Joe Burrow, 1 for Jared Goff, 1 for Brady Cook, and 1 for the actual GOAT, Kurt Warner.
So
let's get that straight.
Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner is a stud.
1999 in the Rams.
Well, Caitlin Clark has been touted as like this amazing, like she's going to come into the WNBA and take it over. I can see the parallels between the NBA. She's only been in it for 2 years, but there is not a lot of competition there. It's not like the craziest talent pool ever. And she comes in, is injury prone, and hasn't won the big one.
Okay, let's fix this real quick, Drake. Is that, okay, it's only year 2. You have to have a team to make it happen. Here's the other thing is that if it's grand assault every time, it's grand theft auto, a.k.a. women's basketball. Every time Caitlin's on the court, it's the defense on her instead of playing actual D is let's knock her down over and over again. And it's the WNBA was flying coach. Now they're flying private. No, why?
Oh, I don't
because of one person gave so much attention to that league.
Well,
Bingo,
2.
Dunno.
If you count Sophie Cunningham defending her and also looking like a supermodel at the same time. Some people hit the genetics lottery, don't they? Wowee. Well, we're proud of her. Yeah, so other news, we had historic once-in-a-thousand-year flooding in Missouri. Thousands of people had to be evacuated. Our governor, Mike Kehoe, was on Fox News earlier talking about it. Luckily, they were able to avoid like a Camp Mystic incident, even though we had some of the conditions that were similar to that in that our grounds were saturated. There was nowhere for the water to go, but our helicopters were able to evacuate, and the kids got to ride on an Apache helicopter. They had some cute quotes from the kids. One young woman did lose her life after her house was swept away. John, what are your thoughts on this historic flood?
That's my old stomping grounds down there in Lesterville on the Black River because I used to go down there many moons ago with the four-wheeler crowd back when Bob Chandler had his very first Bigfoot truck. And they sort of did all the testing on it out in the ankle-deep Black River. And I saw the pictures this weekend. It was like, man, oh, man.
More than ankle deep, huh?
Oh, it was unbelievable. That's, it's just a little sleepy backwater creek most of the time with a whole lot of sandbars and people camping up and down it.
Well, now it's so wet all over the state. Mm-hmm. Basically, the entire state of Missouri is very moist. There was some rain that went through my neighborhood. There's a dog park. I normally take my dog and let her run. It's totally wet still.
Yeah, you'll get mud all over your house.
Yeah. It's so
the carpet cleaning companies
she's a bird
are going to be
dog.
happy about
she's got webbed feet. She can go swim.
No,
right?
it's not. It's not whether she would love it or not. She would. I just don't feel like spending 45 minutes washing her and drying her.
Yeah. The carpet cleaner companies are going to like this weather and what the dogs do to our rugs, aren't they? Yeah, it's hard to get them all the way wiped down.
Missouri Task Force 1 was on the scene down there. Jefferson City Fire sent a rescue boat and a crew, so it was pretty darn hairy. 1 death, we understand.
Luckily, yeah. So thanks to the quick working action of our first responders, some of whom were on the front page of the Post-Dispatch over the weekend with their rescue work. So very proud for that work that they did. And guess what? Mexico is mad at the United States right now. What? I guess Mexico vows U.S. will pay after ICE fatality shoots illegal migrant who allegedly attempted to ram agent with car. So that is Claudia Sheinbaum, the first female president of Mexico, is vowing to pursue significant legal measures against the United States after a Mexican national was fatally shot during an ICE operation in Texas. They were in Texas, and the agent said he was had to shoot him in self-defense because he allegedly ignored orders and allegedly attempted to ram the agent. I wonder who this Mexican national is that the president of Mexico is willing to make an international incident of it. I have follow-up questions on that one.
Well,
interesting.
Said he'd been here, the family said he'd been here for 35 years and was finally working to get to,
his work permit after 35 years.
Yeah, legal status.
Well,
I think Mexicans are just sore because England beat them and eliminated them for the cup. Is what.
Yeah.
Now, here's the kicker. $61 billion last year went from Mexican Americans who live in the United States legally and illegally to their relatives in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump can make that money flow change very quick.
He's made noise about potentially taxing it or different things that could be cut off. Not that it should be. I mean, if you're working legally here in our country and you want to send money back to your family who are poor in Mexico, you should be able to do that, right? But yeah, we do have that leverage over the situation if she really wants to make a big stink. But I am curious, who this person was. It's unusual for a president of a country when someone just happens to be, involved in a law enforcement thing in our country to make an international incident out of it. Does this family have clout? What's going on there? Interesting. Well, we will be back here on Wake Up Missouri. This is Jennifer Bukowski filling in with Peter Thiele and John Marsh. Will have the Daily DC Rundown for you next. Don't go away.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
following a brief and sudden illness, his office said. His death came shortly after he came back from Ukraine and was ahead of a scheduled appearance on Meet the Press. Spokesman said Sunday afternoon the cause of death, aortic dissection due to cardiovascular disease. According to the D.C. Medical Examiner, an aortic dissection, a life-threatening condition involving a tear in the wall of the aorta. Meantime, Senator Mitch McConnell released a statement on his health with a photo of himself and wife Elaine Chao. After questions swirled about his condition, McConnell said he was briefly unconscious after he took a fall last month and been dealing with a mild case of pneumonia. The 84-year-old's been in the hospital since June 14th and said, "My doctors confirmed I didn't break any bones or suffer a concussion. I didn't have a heart attack or a stroke, and I don't have any tumors or hemorrhages."
Nice.
Iran having their own hemorrhages, claiming attacks on Persian Gulf countries that host U.S. military bases after another round of strikes. As a renewed fighting over control of the Strait of Hormuz, Central Command said forces targeted various Iranian vessels and facilities and contradicted Tehran's claim that the strait is closed, saying no, it is open, and Iran does not control the shipping lanes. Oil prices shot up nearly 5% after the weekend strikes. So we'll see where the pump prices are all headed. Thank goodness I don't drive a big old diesel truck.
Yeah, it's a good time to have an electronic vehicle, isn't it?
There you go.
That was a shock about Lindsey Graham, and they're waiting for toxicology and for microscopic testing, too. So
now, he does come from a family that his father died of a heart attack at the age of 71. So he comes from a family where heart disease is a deal. So and there's many things you can escape in life. One thing you cannot escape is genetics. That's something you cannot overcome. You can work around things. You can do a lot of different things to try to make sure your health is good, all that sort of stuff. But if you come from a family of heart attack victims, you are very well likely going to have that challenge in your health.
yeah, but these days they're screening for that, and they ask about your family history, and they put you on medications and do other things to mitigate that possibility. Things have changed since Lindsey Graham's father died, but one Republican has broken his silence, saying he doubts that Russia would have the gall to kill him. It would be a very big deal if that were to occur. So, I mean, he says, and I say, hopefully it's a natural cause. And the Mitch McConnell thing, they released this photo of him unconscious in the hospital and saying to my fellow Kentuckians, when you elected me to a seventh term and made me our Commonwealth's longest serving senator, you did so trusting I'd keep showing up to fight for you every day. And over the past several weeks, Elaine and I have appreciated both your well wishes and your honest questions about what was keeping me away from the Senate. He goes on to basically admit that he has this instinct to hide health problems and that he's been in the hospital. We have a very narrow majority now with the passing of Lindsey Graham. It's 52-48 in the Senate.
Yeah,
Susan
we need
Collins is hanging on, that Graham Plattner withdrew from the race over the weekend on Friday. It's a lot up in the air.
Yeah, and Democrat Socialists, by the way, they've released their platform.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great. They want to eliminate the Senate. They want to eliminate the presidency.
Oh, good.
They're great.
They want to eliminate Republicans, too. They They took down a picture from their meeting where half of them were wearing face masks because everyone was making fun of them on X last night. All right. We'll be
Workers
back.
of the world unite.
Yeah, with face masks on. All right, don't go away. We have RIP next. Welcome back to Wake Up Missouri. It's Jennifer Bukowski filling in along with Peter Thiele, and we are joined this morning by Don Luzader with some news and a tribute to one of our veterans, Rosie Reed. Don, welcome.
Good morning, Jennifer, Peter, and everyone. It's it kind of hit us pretty hard. I got a call. Rosie Reed was one of our honor flight veterans, and we still do the honor flight of the Ozarks Radiothon on KWTO every year. And I know even when Mid-Missouri still had their honor flight, Mary Paulsell and great team over there, Rosie Reed helped with that as they were trying to get things going there. And Rosie was a voice for them as well with their honor flight. But she was a Army veteran. She served in the late 50s and early 60s as a cryptologist. This was something that not a lot of women were involved in this time, and she was really a trailblazer. This was it was after the Korean War and before Vietnam started. She would decode messages at an underground Pentagon in Fort Ritchie. In fact, it was nicknamed the Underground Pentagon there at Fort Ritchie. Alerts mainly with friendly foreign countries. She would run exercises on them. And when she started, guys, she was told that it was up to her and the ladies with her to keep this school of cryptology open to women. She says she was too young to know it, but there was a lot of pressure to do well and to really pave the way for other women because this was actually the first time the cryptology school had been open to women since World War II. So when she got that assignment at Fort Ritchie, she had no idea that she got a cream of the crop assignment. Peter, I know you remember when you were here for the honor flight and Randy was here. She was just a spunky lady full of energy, and I think that's why it hit us so hard when we found out. I found out last week that she was in hospice care, and then a couple of days later that she had passed.
Don, would you? There's a lot of people who may not be familiar with what honor flight is. Can you explain that and what Rosie Reed's role was with that?
Well, honor flight, it helps veterans get to Washington, D.C. It pays for their trip. Now, for every veteran, there is a guardian, and the guardian can be a family member. It can be a complete stranger, but they go to Washington, D.C. with them and cater to the veterans' every need. This is all about the veterans. They have paid so many prices over the years with their service to our country. This does not cost them a dime. And so we have an honor flight radiothon every year to continue to raise money because those flights are not cheap. They're expensive, but the veterans never pay a dime to go on those flights. They see the World War II Memorial, Korea, Vietnam Wall. They go to Arlington National Cemetery and are there for that very solemn service at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It's just a full 1 day of activities for these veterans. And it can be a transformational experience for them. There are veterans, guys, who go on the honor flight who don't really talk much about their service, and then all of a sudden they go on this, and it's a life-changing experience. They start opening up to family members and friends. Rosie was a big part of that in that she was a spokesperson for honor flight. She talked about the benefits of it. She was very active in helping the honor flight of the Ozarks in the Springfield area. And like I said, she also helped out when Central Missouri still had their honor flight as well. But just a wonderful lady. We've had her on the Radiothon the last several years, and just a lot of smiles. And she loved going from studio to studio, telling her story about her military experience and her experience with honor flight.
If you're just joining us, this is Jennifer Bukowski filling in for Randy Tobler. We're talking about the passing of U.S. Army veteran Rosie Reed, who died on Thursday. She was actively involved in the honor flight, and during her service to her country, had an interesting role because at a time of heightened tension, she worked at this underground facility that was made to withstand if D.C. got taken out, to ensure that we would still have, encrypted communication of all of our military orders to protect our country if things really hit the fan, as it was a very tense time in the late 50s and early 60s, right, Don?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it literally was an underground bunker. Very well, not a lot was known about it at the time. Since we've learned more about it, but yeah, this was, and the cryptology thing was something that was just brand new, and women just weren't involved in that. But they started this cryptology school, and she was one of the trailblazers for women and for our country. I did want to mention, that she was 87 years old when she passed last Thursday. They're going to hold a celebration for Rosie Reed's life later this fall, and so then they'll send out an updated obituary and information when that becomes available. The arrangements are under the direction of Rhodes Funeral Home in Brookfield, Missouri. But it's just a wonderful lady. We've lost a few of our Honor Flight veterans that we've had on the air. We had Jack Hamlin, who was 101. I think he hit 102 years old. He was a World War II veteran. And these veterans are getting older and older, which is why it's so important for them to continue those honor flights, and for veterans who haven't been on the flight to get on there as soon as possible, because we've seen people who don't make it very long after they get back from their honor flight. They die.
Well, it's a great cause, and what a special woman. Thank you for her service, and rest in peace, Rosie Reed. Thank you, Don, for joining us this
Absolutely.
morning.
My pleasure to talk about Rosie. Thank you, guys.
Rosie the Riveter, Rosie Reed. We got some fierce women in our country. I love it. So rest in peace to her. And that's a great cause, the honor flight, isn't it? So much news is happening. What should we even dig into next here, Peter? There's so many things happening all at once. We've got Ro Khanna pulling some stunt over in Israel.
Yes. Well, he's trying to run for office, and in the Democratic Party, one of the appealing things now apparently is Jew hatred. So if you want to be elected for something, apparently being an anti-Semite is very high in the Democratic Party.
So it's just so sad. I would not have predicted this 10 years ago that this would be a prerequisite, nor, I'm sure, does the governor of Pennsylvania realized that it would be disqualifying for him to be selected as VP. I mean, basically, that was tacitly admitted by Kamala Harris or her team.
Yeah, and Governor Shapiro,
for his religion.
Yeah, Governor Shapiro of Pennsylvania, moderate-ish sort of Democrat, and all of a sudden, you're Jewish, you can't be the running mate. So we're going to pick
Muslim,
a guy
you
who
can
does
be mayor of New York City.
Yes, and it's and realize that it was between Shapiro and Tim Walz, and so Kamala Harris.
What a field, huh?
Yeah, well,
Shapiro would have been better. I have a theory
he's competent.
She didn't want to pick someone that would make it too apparent how dumb she was. I think that's why she went with Walz, because she would actually sound like more with it, more together and polished with him next to her than she would with Shapiro. Because if you put it like a Shapiro or a Buttigieg, they're not my favorites, but they're going to definitely sound more articulate and informed than she is on the issues.
Well, don't worry. We are at the right after midterm elections will be day one of the presidential campaign of 2028. We'll find out who's running. Buttigieg is probably running. Ro Khanna is running. It's Josh Shapiro's been on the list to run. I have a feeling he won't now because of the anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Then you have Kamala Harris obviously is in.
Gavin Newsom.
Gavin Newsom is definitely
AOC.
Maybe that or Senate. She might take out Chuck Schumer. We've got Rob Emanuel, who sounds practically like a Republican because he's so moderate compared to a lot of this.
And he is liberal as heck.
Yeah,
and
really
he's the voice of reason.
But
you can watch Bill Maher now. And Bill Maher is a reasonable guy. Remember when Bill Maher, not that long ago, was considered wacky, way out there?
Yeah.
Now, not so much.
If you listen to clips from Bill Clinton in the 90s, that guy would be a Republican if you think now. He wouldn't make it very far in his party, would he? So anyway, we have next up, we have no doctor in the House, which is unfortunate that Randy Tobler chooses to be out when we have Senator Lindsey Graham dying of a heart condition that we could have picked his brain over, but he will hopefully be back tomorrow for that. But we have ways to make Missouri healthy again, nevertheless. So we'll get into those when we get back right here on Wake Up Missouri. Jennifer Bukowski filling in with Peter Thiele. Don't go away.
It's Wake Up.
Missouri, it's Jennifer Bukowski filling in along with Peter Thiele. Randy Tobler is out, so Stephanie Bell. But Dr. Mehmet Oz, CMS administrator, gave an interview where he gave 3 simple things you can do that don't require medication or a lot of money to be a lot healthier. Number 1, spend more time with people you love. He said the best health advice I can give is super simple. There's nothing healthier than having a good time with the people you care about. So spending time with loved ones can bring tangible health benefits, especially when paired with activities like eating a meal together or playing pickleball. No, I put the pickleball part in.
Yeah, I bet you did.
According to the doctor. Do the things that bring you an inner sense of calm so you can sleep at night. That all comes from being social. He said 50% of the human brain is designed to read the face of the person next to you. That's interesting. We wouldn't waste that brain power if it wasn't important. We're supposed to be social. We're supposed to interact with others, so spend time doing that. He said some traditional healthy habits like dieting may help promote certain health aspects, but can cause you to be lonely because we celebrate around food. So number 1, spend time with people you care about. That's cool. Number 2, reduce stress for better sleep. These play into each other because if you're spending time with people you care about, that'll help reduce that stress. It doesn't cost a thing.
Actually, sometimes not spending time with people reduces a lot of stress. That
Depends
can
on your
be a
family
big
dynamic,
win too.
I
Yes.
guess. Yeah, but you could try to spend money on certain medication to make you sleep. But if you just have good sleep hygiene, especially as you get older, that can help you stay youthful and your brain to work better.
I'm big on hygiene. I bathe every day.
Well, here's some tips he has for sleeping better. Make the room you're sleeping in as dark as possible. Keep the temperature cool and avoid screens before bed. The comfort of a loved one or even a pet can also contribute to better sleep. I don't know how people sleep with dogs in their bed. That wouldn't help me sleep better.
Actually, I'll tell you what. It doesn't help that much. My dog sleeps in the bed. And occasionally I'm awakened because she's kicked me in the head.
Yeah.
Sounds like my youth sleeping as a kid with a full-grown bird dog on top of me in a single bed.
Yeah.
Yes. It's sort of what goes through there. But, yeah, that's
I guess
good.
it gives some people comfort and allows them to sleep better. I've got husband in bed. I don't need a big, chocolate lab in bed with me as well. So he sleeps downstairs. And then finally, we hear this one all the time, even though I don't love this one, eat real food. That's pretty straightforward. Eat things that come out of the ground. And he really recommends nuts because that's what your brain is looking for. They are nutrient-rich, natural food, and it's a valuable health tool. He says nuts, which are baby trees, basically, have tons of nutrients. Yeah, they have calories, but they've got so many nutrients in them that is without question one of the wise things you can do to make your brain healthy. If your brain's healthy, it'll stop feeding your mouth. So if you want to be slimmer and have a smarter brain, go nuts and eat some nuts, right? Get some sleep, have fun with friends, and bring a bag of cashews or almonds with you.
Have you ever gotten the wasabi soy sauce almonds?
Yeah, I have. I'm not
really
as into that flavor. I like honey roasted, things like that. Those are more my jam.
Does it say what specific nuts are healthy?
No, but I hope it's cashews. That's my favorite nut.
100%.
But almonds, they say, are the healthy ones, aren't they?
Yeah, almonds are supposed to really kick fatty. And walnuts are supposed to be good, which I really don't like all that much.
Yeah, unless they're candied. They're not my favorite. But once you start candying the nuts,
caramel,
I don't
right?
know. Yeah, I don't know how healthy they are for you when you start coating them in brown sugar and roasting them.
My mom used to smash up walnuts and throw them into things.
Oh,
like
yeah.
she made bread
that
would have walnuts in them.
That's good.
Well,
Yeah,
I
good
think it
for
was
ya.
pretty good till somebody broke a tooth, and it was, that ended.
Well, you're supposed to take the shells off first there, Peter.
No, they did. Some people can't handle. You get a little, get some miles on the odometer. The toofies sometimes don't stay as strong.
Well, one thing you should not do for your health is use kratom, which is sold at gas stations, and it's called like the heroin of gas stations. It just took the life of an NBA star. He was carrying kratom, a leaf-derived supplement frequently sold as an energy booster or pain reliever, better known as gas station heroin, and he was 29 years old. Brandon Clark
That's
died.
what killed him. Yeah, it's here's the deal.
All that work to get into the NBA, like the amount of time he was practicing.
Yes.
Like, all the effort by his family and coaches to make that career happen, and then it gets thrown away on something that dumb. That's really a shame.
I have never, when I go into the gas station, I generally don't look at health supplements as my end game there. It's usually just to pick up something to drink, maybe a snack while I fill up my car with gas.
Yeah, they don't sell a lot of healthy food in there. Maybe some nuts. But
no, they do. They sell the little packs of peanuts, walnuts.
Yeah, they've got
maybe nuts, but besides that, it's like Funyuns and
beef jerky's pretty good. I mean, that's a staple of gas stations, right?
Yeah,
Randy's favorite, the roller dogs.
Ugh.
And now, speaking, Jennifer and I both have said we've never taken Kratom for our pain relief or energy.
Yeah, I just do it on Tuesdays for fun.
Drake or Marsh, either of you?
No, Catherine Hanaway said it's a no-no, so we'll follow the AG's lead.
Not yet is how I'll answer that, I guess.
Did you just hear me talk about the 29-year-old NBA player who died from it?
To be fair, he played with Ja Morant. I don't know. There might be some more to that story.
Huh.
Also, we throw around the word NBA star. NBA player is what he was. He was not
NBA
a star.
player. Well, he was a star at some point if he got into the NBA. Anyway,
he was a stud in Gonzaga.
We also lost Jurassic Park legend Sam Neill, dead at 78. He starred in the 1993 blockbuster Jurassic Park. He played the paleontologist or whatever, right? He was the doctor.
Yeah, I will tell you
movie.
about Sam Neill. There was a period there where I swear to you, half the movies coming out, he was really sort of like Gene Hackman-like in so many movies. I mean, it's just...
He was in a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're running out of time for this hour one, but coming up next hour, we have a bunch of guests. We're going to have a lot more news to go over, so don't go away.
mountain and we'll just climb it. Show us an ocean and we'll just cross it.
It's your morning addiction. Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell.
Facing the future without fear.
The Zimmer News Team.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, these people want to literally redistribute the wealth.
And now, introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Good morning. It's Jennifer Bukowski in for Randy Tobler. And the passing of Lindsey Graham is at the top of the news. Here's President Trump discussing it yesterday on Fox News.
Makes it even stranger is that I got a call last night sometime at, the early evening, maybe in the 7s. And he called and he said, we're all set for the Save America Act. He was pushing the Save America Act like crazy. He got back, said he just landed from Ukraine. I said, that's a long trip to make. He said, he sounded a little tired, but perfect, but a little bit tired. Had a right to be. And he was a worker. He was really a worker. But he sounded great, actually. But he actually said he was tired. But he wanted to pass the Save America Act. And I said, well, we're going to get it done, Lindsey. We're going to get it done. I'll see you soon. We thought maybe we might even meet today. And then that was it. And that was, very around the time. It couldn't have been much longer. It could have been his last call. I don't know exactly. But I got a message about 1 o'clock in the morning from one of the people at his office that he had passed away.
Well, apparently, after that phone call with the president, he said to a staffer or someone in his home that he wasn't feeling well. They encouraged him, this unnamed person, to seek medical attention, go to the doctor. He said he would after he did meet the press the next morning, but he was dead within a few hours of that. So people around the world, not just in America, are mourning him. Iranians in London held a candlelight vigil for him just a little bit ago, and they were saying the Kaddish on Israeli state TV for him, and a big loss in the Senate. And he is being noted for some of his brave moments in the Senate, including this one about the Kavanaugh confirmation.
Are you aware that at 9:23 on the night of July the 9th, the day you were nominated to the Supreme Court by President Trump, Senator Schumer said, 23 minutes after your nomination, I will oppose Judge Kavanaugh's nomination with everything I have. I have a bipartisan, and I hope a bipartisan majority will do the same. The stakes are simply too high for anything less. Well, if you weren't aware of it, you are now. Did you meet with Senator Dianne Feinstein on August 20th?
I did meet with...
Yeah, and he went on to have an explosive rant about how they were just, besmirching his character beyond all get out, simply over abortion. They were trying to ruin a man's reputation. And so some of those clips from that hearing where he just really stood up and was pivotal in turning around that confirmation and saving it during that process.
Yeah, it's Lindsey Graham, obviously, was a very interesting character. And his relationship with Donald Trump famously did not start off well.
Yeah.
After President Trump was elected.
They ran against each other for president,
yes.
actually.
Well, it's Lindsey Graham, really, his run wasn't that big. He was out pretty quick. But my favorite was Donald Trump giving Lindsey Graham's cell phone number out to a crowd on national TV.
I did not remember that.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting, I played yesterday on the Jennifer Bukowski show footage of him in Kiev, Ukraine.
Yeah.
He looked healthy. He looked hale. He was without notes giving all these remarks to a gaggle of press. And then President Trump said he sounded tired, but he sounded fine. And he was getting ready to be on Meet the Press. And boom, you just never know. And they are still awaiting toxicology and microscopic analysis before they officially rule the cause of death in that case.
I worked in Greenville, South Carolina for 3 years, 2003 through 2006. And that first year he was a senator was 2003. He was in the building a couple of times. I only had one conversation with Lindsey Graham. It was very brief as I was bringing him to the studio for an interview. And Lindsey Graham was this guy who, talk about something that we should all aspire to. He went out. His parents died within a very short period of each other. He raised his younger sister. He built this career. A lot of times people, when they run into roadblocks, like having to raise a sibling, like losing your parents at any point, that shuts them down from being able and going out and reaching the potential they had. Lindsey Graham went and focused on his career and built it in a way. To rise to the U.S. Senate is not some easy deal. You just don't luck into it. You have people who are backing you. You also have to really want it and have the character to get in, as we certainly saw last several weeks with Graham Plattner in Maine. You can have all the backing and you can have all sorts of excitement and be the right thing. But if you don't have the character, if you don't have the strength of will, you can't do that. Lindsey Graham had that, and the U.S. Senate is going to be much poorer without him.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. He was a workaholic, as Trump was saying. Is it for a workaholic like Trump to be saying he was a worker? That's high praise from our president, Donald Trump, about him. And, there's some speculation, and hopefully this is nothing to it. But, for someone who was standing up to some bad guys like Russia, like Iran, less than a week ago, during the funeral for Ayatollah Khamenei, had him along with Donald Trump burning an effigy. They had Lindsey Graham with the crosshairs picture, and they were basically threatening him. Laura Loomer, Peter Thiel, not you, Peter Thiele, but the other one, and a bunch of others.
The one
so
with
you got
money.
to really take care to make sure, because the aortic issue that he had can present like a drug overdose can actually present like an aortic dissection due to arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. But he did have a family history, so it could be just natural, and hopefully it is, because if it is not natural, and someone did this to a sitting U.S. senator, I mean, what would the repercussions be? What would the payback be? How would we respond? We would have to respond with vigor, and I can certainly imagine President Trump, who is describing Lindsey as practically a member of his family and a very good friend and close ally in the Senate, would not be too pleased if evidence of something like that were to arise.
Yeah, I would.
This is purely speculation, but it could be like that. The preliminary results could be caused by an overdose of amphetamines that could have been surreptitiously given to him. We don't know, but if that were the case, that would be
on
quite
like
something.
Donkey Kong. It would be on if this was if that ended up being an unfortunate thing that would happen. That would be an awful thing, and let's hope that didn't happen.
Yeah, and hopefully they expedite the toxicology, because toxicology normally takes weeks to get back. But if you're a U.S. senator who is just in a foreign country, let's get snappy and get those people in the labs with their lab coats on, get those results for us.
And you're under a foreign threat. You have foreign governments who have threatened this individual.
Literally threatened him less than a week ago. They threatened his life.
No, Ron has a history of poisoning dissidents all over the world.
Yeah, as does Russia.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know I'm sure that they have good security team and what have you, but I don't think he seems like he lived alone. So who knows?
Now, I do have this.
The person who called 911 was driving in from Baltimore they didn't name who she was driving in from Baltimore as she called 911. And she's like, I think the door is unlocked. They're like, nope, it's not unlocked, as they were trying to get in to help him. So he must have called someone else. He must have been by himself when this started going down. And she called 911 and was rushing back to D.C. To help.
Yeah, it's a very sad thing. He was a tremendous individual, did a lot of great stuff. Relatively young for a U.S. senator. He was only 71.
Yeah.
And senators famously like to serve until they can't serve anymore. Either they pass away or they're voted out or they just physically can no longer do it.
Yeah, and that brings up Mitch McConnell, who yesterday did like a proof of life, photographed his fellow Kentuckians. There's been some speculation. Yeah, he is fulfilling his last term in office, but he has been hospitalized for several weeks.
A month.
Yeah, a month. That's a long time. And to not have any transparency with the people, you know, they like to hide their health conditions, but you're in your last term, and I think people have a right to know what the situation is, especially when we have such a close, our majority is not very
Well, people
wide.
would have been, I think Republicans would have been pushing Mitch McConnell out, but the problem is I believe Kentucky law says the governor can appoint a successor until the special election. The governor of Kentucky right now is Andy Beshear, who is a Democrat. So that's one of the reasons why there's not been this move to push.
Because then we lose the Senate vote.
Correct.
Well, we need to pray that Mitch McConnell stays healthy further, or gets recovered and gets back to the Senate this year, because that would not be good with what the Democrats, so the Democrat socialists have been overtly saying their plan is to expand the Supreme Court, make Puerto Rico a state, D.C. a state, do all kinds of things to ensure that Republicans can never be in power again.
And, they want to make us into Canada.
Yeah. How's that going for us? Canada, Bill Maher was talking about Canada on his show on Friday night. I should try to find that clip. But, yeah, their unemployment is twice what ours is.
Yep, twice. It's the ability, anybody who brings up single payer like Canada, apparently to see a primary care physician, the wait list is the longest in the industrial world is in Canada.
And if you're just joining us, it's Jennifer Bukowski filling in for Randy Tobler, Peter Thiel, John Marsh, producer Drake. Yeah, and they're also killing people. They have this mercy thing where they put you to death in warehouses sometimes. It's really messed up.
Yeah,
have you seen this? It's like 8% of the people dying up there in some of the provinces are from assisted suicide or whatever they call it.
Choosing their checkout time.
Yeah. Oh, you're not healthy? Would you like to die? And one person, he was a priest. He's like, no, that's against my religion. They asked him 4 different times anyway if he was sure whether or not he wanted to kill himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what government health care, single payer, gets you sometimes, huh? All right, well, we'll have later in this hour at 35 past, we'll have Fox News analysts on to discuss Lindsey Graham and more for you, including what the heck was Tim Walz thinking, and Marco Rubio came and saved the day. We'll explain next.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
Bukowski filling in. Peter Thiel is here as well. Producer Drake and John Marsh. Well, we heard from Marco Rubio after Tim Kaine decided to pardon a child sex abuser who had abused a fourth grader who was 10 years old in Minnesota. Governor Walz had pardoned him so that he would not get deported. Here is Marco Rubio's response to that.
Just weeks ago, a convicted sex offender and a foreign national was shielded from deportation by the governor of Minnesota. Laotian national Tu Li Vang was convicted of repeatedly sexually abusing a 10-year-old girl in the state of Minnesota. He even tried to pay his victim for her silence, and he called his heinous crimes a minor thing. Just days before this foreign sex offender was scheduled to be deported, Tim Walz, the governor, issued him a pardon, setting him free to once again endanger the children of America. Well, this week I revoked his legal status in the United States, and as a result, federal agents took him into custody, and as of today, he has been removed from the United States.
Good. Like, he should not be free to harm American children anymore. But here's the deal. It was between 2002 and 2004 when Vang was between 18 and 20 years old that he had intercourse with this 10-year-old fourth grader 4 to 6 times in St. Paul, Minnesota. The victim was in fourth grade, and he said the victim didn't understand what he was doing. He offered to pay her $10 to keep quiet about it. What was this guy doing since the 90s still in our country? Like, he should have gone to prison and then gone straight back to Laos, but instead he was sentenced to 12 years in prison following his conviction. The sentence was stayed in favor of 30 years of supervised probation, which included 1 year of local confinement. Ultimately, he only served 8 months at the county correctional workhouse, and he was officially discharged from probation in 2019. He has 6 children, and that apparently, according to documents, was one of the reasons that they decided to make the extraordinary decision to pardon a child sex offender in order to avoid him being deported, so that these 6 children didn't have to grow up without a father. Well, you know what? Those 6 children can go back to Laos with him, in my opinion.
Well, here's the other thing is that, there's a guy somebody's murdered a few people, but, he's a father of 6.
Yeah.
Let's let him be with
around
his
these
kids.
children.
Yeah, because
he
that's
has a
good
history of
role
having
model.
sex with a 12-year-old.
Yeah,
so
that's a good role model.
We need to keep him around the children.
Yeah, the children need to be around a fine citizen like this feller.
Yeah, well, they noted that the applicant's wife supported the pardon. Oh, really? Does she? His own wife? Of course she does. And the victim supported it, too, which is creepy to me that there was pressure put on her for that. And so they said, the commissioner wrote that gave this pardon, despite the extraordinary severity of the underlying offense, there is substantial evidence of rehabilitation, remorse, and acceptance of responsibility. He also noted in his reasons that Vang was facing deportation, and the victim supports this decision. That is, I'm a big supporter of exercising the pardon powers, the commutation powers of the governor. It's in the Federalist Papers. It's a check between the branches of government. It's a legitimate thing to do. I've never heard of it used for a sex offender before like this. That just made my mouth drop open.
Yeah, heck, ask Peter about how liberal the Twin Cities are in this modern era. They've always been liberal.
Being like, oh, no, we don't. We want to keep this child sex offender in our country. What is up with that? Well, next up, we are pleased to be joined by Fox News' Jessica Rosenthal about Lindsey Graham's passing away. Don't go away. The sudden passing away of Senator Lindsey Graham. Jessica, welcome to Wake Up Missouri.
Thanks for having me.
This is certainly a big turn of events for someone who was so active and so close to the Trump administration and spoke to the president just hours before his death on Saturday night. What is the feeling like in D.C., and is there any word yet as to who Governor Henry McMaster might appoint and who might run to replace Senator Graham?
Yeah, so there's a lot happening. We know the medical examiner says that preliminarily the cause of death is an aortic dissection. That's like a tear in an aorta. But that they're also waiting on toxicology and microcopy tests. We know, as you just pointed out, he had just was talked to President Trump Saturday night after arriving back in D.C. from Ukraine, where he visited with lots of several officials and visited a drone factory. He also made some announcements from Ukraine about how he felt that his group of bipartisan senators had gotten the White House on board with this Russia sanctions package that sort of languished in the Senate. Majority Leader Thune had pushed off voting on it, giving the president time and space to work on a peace deal, hopefully with Vladimir Putin. As that wasn't coming to fruition, Senator Graham said he believed this sanctions package was going to be the thing, pardon me, that got Vladimir Putin to the table to talk peace. And then he arrived back in D.C. and died shortly after that. Axios is reporting that somebody in his inner circle had told him to seek immediate medical attention because he'd been complaining of not feeling well. And Senator Graham responded that he would deal with it after one of the Sunday morning talk shows that he had planned to participate in. Sadly, did not make that show. As to replacing Senator Graham, there are kind of two tracks happening right now. There will be Governor McMaster needing to appoint somebody to serve out the rest of the term through January. But then also there has to be a special election to find Senator Graham's replacement as the Republican nominee for Senate. And that person, whoever wins that election in, I believe, August 11th, will have to go on to face the Democratic challenger in the November midterm. So the question will be, will Governor McMaster pick somebody who is just sort of in a caretaker role,
right,
just voting the way Lindsey would have voted, or pick somebody who's hungry for the 6-year term and wants to run in this special election in August? So I think a lot of the focus and the attention in the next few days will not only be on sort of funeral arrangements and plans for Senator Graham, but on Governor McMaster and who he selects.
If you're just joining us, we're joined by Jessica Rosenthal from Fox News talking about the passing of Senator Lindsey Graham. And Jessica, you bring up a good point. This is a tight turnaround. I can't imagine, potential candidates who they just saw their sitting senator win the primary. Now, the people that might be interested in filling that position would have to have a lot of very serious conversations with family, friends, and donors before pulling the trigger or not in a very quick time frame. I wonder who's even set up to do that. Do you have any thoughts? Like, I know Nancy Mace has expressed some interest.
Nikki Haley's a name that's come up.
Nikki Haley said in her statement that she is not interested in running for anything at this time. It was a pretty short to the point no. But you're right. The quick turnaround means some decisions have to be made, and it might feel awkward given that a lot of these folks love just passed, and that's the reason for this moment. But a lot of them are also linking in his death into their wishes to run. That they would be not necessarily like Senator Graham, but that he did such a good job in the Senate, that he was from South Carolina, that he's one of them. They loved him, they appreciated him, and that they'll carry on and conduct themselves in a campaign with that in mind. So it's all sort of interwoven, right? They're inextricably linked here because this was his seat and it is such a tight turnaround. But Ralph Norman is apparently a possibility. A source told Fox News he might be interested. Nancy Mace told Fox she would be an idiot not to consider it. And to your point, it's a great point. Who has sort of the operation, the political machine sort of in place to make this happen quickly? A lot of these people just lost their primaries. Pamela Yvette, the lieutenant governor, just lost her primary for governor, but she's recently been in campaign mode.
Yeah. So in contact with donors and had staff, and so it would have to be someone like that, not just like a business owner that's new to politics to be able to turn things around this quickly, I would think.
Well, it's funny you say that because a business owner, Mark Lynch, is the one who lost the Senate primary to Graham. So, and his name is being talked about as a possibility. But a businessman who also has some political machine in operation, as he just ran in a Senate primary. So we'll see. I think watching who Governor McMaster picks, if he picks a caretaker or he picks somebody who wants this shot at a 6-year term, will be of note.
Yeah, it's a big 6-year term on the line, and President Trump did indicate that he has a favorite. Have you heard any scuttlebutt? Who is he talking about?
So Chad Pergram, who knows all in the House and the Senate, said that to keep your eye on Russell Fry. Pardon
Who's
the rhyme.
Russell Fry?
He is a South Carolina politician and congressman out of South Carolina.
Okay.
I think I forget exactly what, he's a relatively new add to the to Congress. I think he won in 2022.
Okay.
I think he won in 2022. But he represented, he was a state house representative for a while. So he's got a name in South Carolina.
Oh, interesting.
Talk to us about what this means for the dyed-in-the-wool hawks in the Senate. You've got Tom Cotton, you've got Wicker out of Mississippi, who are right there with the president on all the heavy stuff war-wise. What's this do to that, having a guy like Lindsey Graham pulled out of the mix?
I mean, you can't understate it, right? He was a hawk. He was a foreign policy hawk, and yeah, his influence with the president, his ability to make the case is lost in this. He was a communicator. He was essentially a spokesperson for hawkish foreign policy goals of his own, but also of if they overlapped with the president. He was chair of the Senate Budget Committee as well, which is huge. We're talking appropriations. We're talking about where money goes into what pot. And he was supposed to be head of Senate Judiciary next year if the Senate stayed in Republican hands. But you're right. It is a tremendous loss for that wing of the Republican Party. And a lot of people noting that other Republicans coming up are certainly less hawkish than Lindsey Graham. So we'll see, but there's also so much attention also on confirmations, on the confirmation process, along with Mitch McConnell being out and not on the Senate floor. He's in rehabilitation and issued his own statement over the weekend saying that he had a fall and that he is not coming back to the Senate soon. It's already a tight margin, right? It's 53 Republicans in the Senate majority. So without those two, it certainly feels dicier. We're going to hear from acting AG Todd Blanche this week as he makes his pitch to be, to get confirmed in the Senate. And Lindsey Graham was a big backer of his. So you're right. It does throw a lot of uncertainty into the mix here.
Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News, Wake Up Missouri. Jessica, it came out, and this is actually so refreshing. 25 years almost in the U.S. Senate, and Lindsey Graham was considered one of the poorest of the U.S. senators. According to New York Post, which I generally think is a pretty good newspaper, not bad at all. He really was so dedicated to service.
He was. He was a senator's senator, is what they say. And you're right. I read somewhere a total. I'm not going to quote the total that I saw because I don't have it confirmed. But you're right. Among the poorest senators, he didn't have that wasn't his goal, right? His goal wasn't to make money in Congress. And as a senator, he loved the job. This would have been he was running for his 5th term. But he was so active in policy. One of his big focuses was the Abraham Accords. He was even quoted as saying that he can't over the weekend that he said, "I can't die now. I have too much to do with the Saudi-Israel normalization, Iran, Ukraine,
sanctions.
and Russia."
Yeah.
You say, yeah, all of it. Like he was so deeply involved in the. Yeah, he was a great communicator, right? And he talked a lot, but he also cared about the details. And his votes indicated as such. You know, he was on the Gang of Eight, focused on immigration policy. He was on another gang of senators having to do with the stopping filibusters back in 2005 when the Democrats were blocking some of President George W. Bush's judicial nominees. He would get in the weeds and he would fight. He nonstop working on policy matters and on legislation. So you're right. That too, that attention to detail will be missed.
Jessica Rosenthal, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Wake Up Missouri.
Thanks for having me.
All right, John. And that will be all except for what, John?
Well, as you and the pickleballers know, they always say, can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen.
All right, that's next. Don't go away.
It's Wake Up Missouri.
except for this.
A group of players reminded the folks on their local pickleball court their time was up, but they flat out refused to leave. One of the players, in his bright pink sneakers, stepped forward to defend his right to play, announcing to the park, "This is a public court and we can stay and play as much as we want, and I don't want you talking to me like I'm a kid."
That's right.
There you go. During another heated game, one player drove a rocket straight at their opponent's feet. The ball bounced straight up, vanished underneath the opponent's skirt, and hung out there in midair for a few awkward seconds before dropping harmlessly to the court. Everyone, including the players, stopped midpoint in disbelief, one commenting she looked like she had laid an egg. And finally, an attempt to return a tough low shot, a player lost their grip and the paddle went flying through the air, spun wildly over the net, and landed perfectly perched on the head of the opponent, who was wearing a toupee.
Oh, my God.
Paddle then promptly took the hairpiece completely off of him. The point was instantly replayed through tears of laughter.
That is a commitment to a toupee right there.
I
mean,
would
that's going to
say.
be, especially for outdoor pickleball in the summer, and that's going to be hotter, and you could just put on a baseball cap and keep it on and ditch the toupee. But
There you go.
I guess he wanted everyone to see it. He wasn't wearing a hat. Perfectly balanced paddle.
If the ball makes it over the net, bounces up, and ends up in somebody's skirt before it falls out, is it still live or is it a dead ball?
It's dead, yeah. If it hits the opposing player, even
and they
on
don't
a serve.
return it. Okay.
Yeah. If it hits actually, when you're serving it to across the court, diagonally, if you hit the player that's standing at the kitchen line instead of serving it in the back you're supposed to, that's a point for you. It's called a nasty Nelson. And it happened to me yesterday for the first time. I was not expecting it.
Well, I've been invited to play pickleball in about 11 days.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Peter, isn't this the sport that you and Drake have been making fun of me for playing?
I'll tell you
it's
what.
Not a real sport. I can't wait to see you get beaten by people not playing a real sport over there.
Well, I got the invitation. Part of me was a little bit disgusted. And part of me is going, I can't do
He's
this.
going to come back a total pickleball convert. He's going to be wearing the gear, going up. It's addictive.
That's my fear. That's my fear. I'll go down this thing where I'll be, Jennifer, perfectly normal, and then she found pickleball.
Yep.
And
now
it's been
all I
over.
wear is pickleball clothes. I turned in my business suits for pickleball. They're much more comfortable.
She doesn't go anywhere without a GoPro strapped to her forehead.
Oh man, that's
not
true.
that bad yet. But I do keep my pickleball bag in my car just in case, if you know what I'm saying. You never know when a pickleball match might break out, and I might need my gear. You never know. But, John, thank you for bringing up that would be all except for this in a pickleball theme. I appreciate it.
Well, we have to, it's good to get your take on the sport of the week.
We need to have a Wake Up Missouri family pickleball tournament. How about that?
Now, John, have you played pickleball?
I
he
have
played
not.
tennis, though, so he might be good.
I played a lot of racquetball back in the day.
Oh, yeah. I played racquetball, and I love it. And Randy Tobler played tennis and loves ping pong. I think he'd be good at it, too.
I played a lot of ping pong and a lot of tennis growing up.
So you might have a knack for it. You should try it.
I played ping pong not that long ago. I was at a deal, and all of a sudden somebody pulled out the table, and my serve is still there. What's not there is the volleying.
Yeah,
that needed more practice.
Aces are nothing, right?
Aces are fine. I mean, literally, like 4 or 5 serves in, I'm going, okay, I'm back to doing what I did.
Yeah, serve is not the end all be all like it is in tennis with pickleball. But, there's another sport that's kind of taking over in Europe and on the coast especially called padel. I tried that last week again for the second time.
What's that?
It's kind of a combination between like squash, racquetball, pickleball, and tennis. You have a glass wall in the back and partly on the sides, then like a gate on the sides, like fencing on the sides. So you can hit it like racquetball off the glass walls. And it has to hit the floor first for it to be in play, but then you can hit it back up against your own glass wall to go back over, or you could hit it after it goes off the back wall, like racquetball. But it's like a tennis ball. You have these really thick, filled with cork paddles or padels or whatever you call them, it's a lot more expensive to make these courts than it is. Pickleball is much more accessible, I think. But this is, a sport that's really taking over, one of the fastest growing sports in the country.
The things you guys do to avoid tennis, I swear. This is like a 10-foot tall, just glass box. That's what this court
Part
is.
Glass box on either end. There's also part fence. There's like 3 wall types in these courts.
Really?
If it hits the fence, it's out of play. But if it hits the wall after bouncing on the ground, it's in play. So give that a try. It's pretty fun, but I'm going to stick with pickleball. I think it's more fun than padel. Also, with a tennis ball, if a man whacks the tennis ball at you, you need to have arm strength to return it. Not as much with pickleball, so it's more accessible to me in that way. All right. Next up, don't go away. We've got Fred Bengali talking about Misha joining us next right here on Wake Up Missouri.
From the Zimmer Radio Network headquarters, it's your morning addiction. Wake Up Missouri with Stephanie Bell, the Zimmer News Team. And now introducing your host, Randy Tobler.
Welcome. It's Jennifer Bukowski filling in for Randy Tobler. Peter Thiel is here filling in for Stephanie Bell here on Wake Up Missouri. John Marsh and producer Drake are both here as well. And for nearly 100 years, the Missouri State High School Activities Association, MSHA, has governed high school athletics and many other activities in Missouri, and it's made up of member schools. And if MSHA, historically, if they ruled a student ineligible because of a transfer between schools, the family's appeal stayed within MSHA's own system, but a new law creates an independent, governor-appointed commission that can hear appeals after MSHA's internal process has been exhausted. Joining us now is former Assistant Executive Director of MSHA, Fred Bengley. Fred, welcome to Wake Up Missouri.
Thank you, and good morning.
Tell us, Fred, why was this new law put into place? Was there a need for it, and what will the benefits of it be?
Well, as formerly being an Assistant Executive Director in the office, I don't think there is a need for it because you have principals, superintendents, and activities directors that make the bylaws, interpret the bylaws, and enforce the bylaws, and they really know really how to govern the sports and activities, and why is there more government regulation needed?
Okay. Well, for listeners who aren't immersed in high school athletics, could you tell us, Fred, what does MSHA actually do besides running state tournaments?
Well, they regulate all the sports and activities. So most people probably don't know that music has the most participation of any sport or activity in the state. So it's not just sports. You know, it's speech and debate, and also academic competition, esports, those sorts of things. So there's a wide range of activities. Some states just have an athletic association, but Missouri is one of them that has all activities involved.
All right. And before this law, what happened when a family believed that MSHA had made a wrong eligibility decision?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people believe that all the bylaws and regulations, policies are just, written in the MSHA office over on Keene Street, and that's not true. The schools really write the bylaws and vote on them, and then enforce them. And so really, if there's a question involved, the MSHA staff makes a decision, makes a ruling, gives their opinion.
Well, that's interesting. As a lawyer, you know, when you have all kinds of bylaws, you could argue things more than one way. So I guess before the MSHA staff decision was final on an eligibility of a student, and now it won't be. Is that right?
Well, we have a process, Jennifer, that after that staff member or the staff's opinion, then the school can appeal to an appeals committee, which is going to have 8 members from each of the 8 regions around the state. So it goes to an appeals committee. If they still don't like it, then it goes to the board of directors, which there are 10 board of directors. Again, 8 from around the state, and then there's going to be 2 at-large members, which those 2 have been in question recently in the legislature because of someone that wanted to apply for one of those positions and was not a female or a minority. So anyway, there's 10 board of directors.
Oh yeah,
they are the ones that make the final decision. And again, those are principals, superintendents, and activity directors from around the state. Now,
will this new law affect just athletics, or will it also affect all the other activities like music and speech and debate?
Again, I'm not an official representative right now since I'm retired, but the way I understand it would affect the activities as well. Somebody didn't like the results of state their state debate contest, then they could appeal it all the way up to this board, the way I understand it.
What we have seen in, especially in the collegiate level, are student athletes at the college level transferring if they're not getting, quote unquote, the type of attention, the type of play they're getting. In Missouri, what is the process if I have a kid who's really good at football, but he's not starting, and there's another high school in the area that wants him as a starter? What's that process for the kid? Can they just transfer over to the school and be a part of it, or does the parent have to move to that district?
It meshes based on residency, so you have to go to the school where your family resides. Now, I should back up and say that as you're in as a freshman, I think if you go whatever school you would want to go to, if that school would accept you, you could go and I think become immediately eligible. I believe that's the way it's set up now.
But if you wanted, for example, I hate to always be Columbia-centric, but if you're at Rockbridge and you want to transfer to Tolton, it's harder to do. Isn't that right?
Yes. Let's say your junior year you want to transfer to Tolton. You're going to have a hardship that would allow you to do that and become immediately eligible. If not, you would have to attend for 1 year.
Yeah, that's a long time for a high schooler.
This would be at the varsity level. They could still participate at the sub-varsity level, junior varsity, freshman level, that type of thing. But not.
Why
at the
is that?
level.
Do they not want schools poaching each other's athletes, or what was the thinking behind that? If a kid is wanting to play a sport, couldn't they? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. That you don't want Hickman actively recruiting a Southern Boone athlete away from that school district.
Well, it depends on what team you're rooting for, I guess.
Yeah, exactly right. Look at the mess the NCAA's in.
Yeah.
I mean, you want Missouri schools to be like the NCAA, and it's just be a mess.
Could you give us your take on that lawsuit that Catherine Hanaway has filed, alleging that the MSHA board violated anti-discrimination laws? I know, we've got a lawyer here with us, but what's your take on it? Is this something MSHA's ever faced before?
The High School Activities Association has faced many lawsuits, and at the time I left, they had never lost one. But in this case, I was part of the staff when those two at-large positions were added, and I questioned it at the time. I really had no say in it, but I questioned it at the time. That you're specifying a female or a minority had to be in one of those positions, but that was several years ago, and I guess maybe I don't know if DEI is the correct term to use, but maybe that was kind of applied at the time. But I thought maybe there's a chance for it to be challenged, and it certainly is being.
And the Missouri Bar, the last I knew, have 3 seats like that, where like straight white males need not apply. You have to be a minority or a female in order to hold one of those seats on the Board of Governors for the Missouri Bar. So that's interesting. I wonder if they'll be hearing from the Attorney General at any point or not, because when I saw that MSHA suit, that came to mind. Well,
right. I heard that on your show one day, and that surprised me about the bar.
Yeah, I'll have to double check that. I got recruited to run for one of those because I'm a female lawyer at one point, and that was several years ago, but I assume they still have those positions. Well, Fred Bengley, thank you, former Assistant Director of MSHA. Thank you for joining us to elucidate this new law with this new appeal process for MSHA.
My pleasure.
All right, stick around because next up we have the Morning Bell with Peter Thiele.
It's Wake Up
And I'm Peter Thiel with today's market update. By the way, Dow Jones Industrial Futures are off 18 points this morning. NASDAQ futures off 312, and S&P 500 futures off 24 points. Obviously, over the weekend, a lot of stuff has been going on with Iran, with the Iranians firing on people in the Strait of Hormuz. It's create all sorts of different questions about what's going on with oil and with energy prices. Meta, by the way, has announced they're expanding their Louisiana data center. It's now a $50 billion AI push, which is an awful lot of money. A couple of stocks that have been going on. One of the stocks that's received on the buy list has moved into the buy list, kind of a conservative stock. Jennifer, Clorox, CLX, has been up nicely. It's a stock that pays a 5% dividend, and some of these dividend stocks have become quite attractive right now as we go through and we look at it. Some big market movers have been Meta and NVIDIA, which, of course, are AI-centric type of stocks. For those of you who are in the crypto buying, right now, Bitcoin is at $62,461. Here's the interesting thing about Bitcoin. Remember this thing probably about 6 months ago where they said, yeah, Bitcoin will never fall under 100,000? Yeah, there we are. So Ethereum is off as well today. Shiba Inu is off. And, of course, Dogecoin are off as well. And so we'll be watching the market all week, and hopefully this Iranian thing can finally be fixed and finished and get the economy moving and get energy prices to be more consistent for not only us buying gas for our vehicles or diesel, but also for, to make sure energy prices are consistent and going down for groceries, etc.
Oil back up to over 80 a barrel at last check.
And our reserves are dangerously low. The Wall Street Journal is reporting on us having low reserves.
Joe Biden.
I don't know if they said dangerously, but they are definitely lower than they normally are. Frequent oil draws from the U.S. Strategic Reserve push old system to breaking point. Another thing that's crashing, or not crashing, I guess oil isn't crashing, but Moana, that live remake, totally bombed at the box office. Did you see that? The Disney movie?
Well, anything Disney does right now seems to be cursed. So it's they came out with that
was a really popular animated film. And
yes.
I guess this is just like the live remake from it, but they didn't change much up, and apparently audiences are not into it.
I think people are sick of stuff that's not original. Yeah. If you're going to go to the movie theater, you want to see something that's original, something that's unique and fun.
Yeah, you can use Moana as the backdrop, but you want to add something new to the story. Otherwise, what's the point of spending all that money when you could just watch?
What about new characters? What about brand new characters and new ideas, not doing a Moana live action? Or
you know what? They needed like a transgender parrot or something to make that thing happen.
You brought that up. You brought that up, Jennifer.
Drake that's been their solution to everything so far, hasn't it? Like throw something like that in there.
That wouldn't even make sense. They take place in Hawaii in the Pacific Ocean and like those islands out there. Parrots aren't out there.
Oh. Okay, are there trans parrots? That was your problem with my suggestion there. Oh,
well, I mean,
parrots aren't indigenous to Hawaii. The bird nerd over there, Drake Whitman.
Yeah, maybe a trans crab or something. But like parrots, no, that wouldn't make sense for the story nor the setting.
Wow, okay. Trans crab.
I was just trying to think of like a rainbow-colored animal.
Nature can be rainbow and beautiful and not be gay.
Yeah, that's true. And gays could be. Did you see this gay American cruise ship? They're not letting them dock anywhere?
Yeah, in Egypt, the Turks aren't that excited. Yeah, Muslim countries are not real high on the gays.
Even though they're there to like spend money in your country, not make everyone gay. It's kind of rude. Very rude.
Yeah, it's.
And I haven't heard a whole lot of outrage from the left about it.
Yeah, you'd think that
isn't it?
all the the Queers for Palestine crowd, they would be real upset about this, but no, they're kind of quiet.
They are very quiet about it. It's 1,900 Americans on this ship, and they're not letting them dock because of their sexuality as gay men. What's up with that? Not very friendly, not very tolerant, but these are people that, somehow the left has embraced in their quest to get power in our country, and we got to keep an eye on that one for sure.
Yeah, it's the Muslim majority nations generally are not real tolerant. And ironically, you bring up to folks that going up from there, I said, name me a country in the Middle East that does Pride Month and stuff like that. Israel.
It's the only one you could be free to speak your mind, have free speech, wear a skirt, and have a gay pride parade. It's illegal to be gay in most of the surrounding countries. Some of them kill you if you're gay.
That's right.
Wild.
If you're gay, you still have to serve in the military in Israel as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And if you're a girl. So they are very, very much more inclusive, shall we say, than their surrounding areas. And President Trump, I talked about this on my show yesterday, is being accused of picking on kindergartners because he retruthed over the weekend this video from End Wokeness of these kindergartners in Minnesota. And it said every single girl is wearing a hijab. They're singing a song in Somali. That's not attacking the kindergartners, okay? That's sticking up for the kindergartners. Like, who's putting them in a hijab at the age of 5?
Well,
and why?
And here's my question, is that the ACLU used to do these lawsuits. If you did a Christian made a prayer or whatever in a school to go from that. Notice they're strangely silent if all of a sudden it is another religion making prayers and organized religion.
At a public school, too. That's a good point. Yeah. All right. Well, next up, Kash Patel has gotten some instructions by the White House to look into the New York Times. And we'll get into that next right here on Wake Up Missouri. In Missouri, it's Jennifer Bukowski filling in. Peter Thiel is here as well. John Marsh, producer Drake. And I have a confession to make. I read the New York Times.
Boo!
But on Thursday, I remember being kind of perplexed when I read their report about how President Trump switched Air Force Ones. Yeah, there's more than one Air Force One. And he switched planes from the Qatari donated one to the old one, because the Qatari donated one didn't have the same countermeasures to keep the president as safe in light of things heating up in the Middle East. And I was like, wow, should they really be saying that in the newspaper? Like, where are they getting this information and why are we telling the world about it? Well, it turns out that President Trump was furious about those reports that his Qatari donated airplane allegedly lacks the robust countermeasures found on the previous Air Force One. And Kash Patel canceled a trip to Chicago to launch an investigation into who was the leaker behind the report. And the reporters behind that article, and I remember reading this byline, Tyler Page, Julian Barnes, Eric Lipton, and Eric Schmidt have been ordered to testify before a Manhattan grand jury next week. They are not the targets of the investigation. They're trying to find the leaker. But can you imagine? Eric Schmidt is the name of one of the major New York Times reporters. His byline's there all the time. The same as, not our senator, a different Eric Schmidt.
Yeah, it's a fairly common first and last name.
But yeah, so the left is crying foul, like they're going after the reporters. The White House is pushing back, saying, no, we're looking for the leaker, because you can't just be telling reporters stuff like this particular plane doesn't have as good of countermeasures. It's for like anti-missile and things like that, I believe, as the old plane. What do you think, John?
Yeah, it was one of those kind of things. And I think when that story first broke about the countermeasures or the lack thereof, I think they kind of spelled out. They said, well, on the president's end of it, they kind of rushed the production ahead on the aircraft, and it's still a work in progress as far as all those, added on countermeasures and safety stuff that they hadn't added to that aircraft as of yet. And you kind of wonder why.
Yeah, why
it
are
was
you
in the
telling
air.
them what countermeasures we have and which plane has what? It just struck me as strange.
And
apparently President Trump, none too pleased, nor was Kash Patel.
Well, and again, I would, the president's safety is important no matter which party, no matter what goes through, keeping our president safe. I would tend to think that he would not be up in a plane that didn't have all the countermeasures to protect him at all specific times. And that would seem to me to be problematic if that if that was not all installed before that plane went up.
Well, another thing I was reading about in the New York Times this weekend was the historic flooding in Missouri. I'm like, wait, what? Apparently, they're saying that this was a 1 in 1,000 year rainfall event when we got 6 to 12 inches of rain in about 24 hours. That's what the National Weather Service is saying, once in millennia event. Rivers, including the Black River, rose to near record or record levels. They had to airlift over 200 campers and staff from Camp Tomsock near Lesterville after floodwaters isolated the camp. At Bearcat Getaway Campground, rapidly rising water caused a building to collapse and stranded campers. Fortunately, everyone there was ultimately accounted for. However, one young woman lost her life when her home was swept away by the floodwaters. 350 people were rescued across Reynolds, Iron, and Crawford counties and other nearby counties with swift water teams, helicopters, and boats, and Mid-Missouri's own Task Force 1 was sent and deployed to assist. Big weekend for our first responders down in Missouri.
And just thinking through this, it's been so wet that normally you can get 6 inches of rain. Well, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Our ground is so saturated that it definitely cannot handle that right now.
And I think that's what was the situation with the Camp Mystic, where all those girls unfortunately lost their lives a few years ago on the 4th of July. It was so saturated, there was nowhere for the water to go. But Governor Mike Keogh's declared a statewide emergency and activated the National Guard and deployed search and rescue forces. So numerous roads, as of last reporting I saw, remain closed or damaged. John, what are you hearing on this?
Yeah, I mean, Anybody who's been down in Lesterville, down on Black River, and we used to go down there with the whole crowd, as I mentioned earlier, and go four-wheeling in our Jeeps and all that stuff. I mean, the Black River, people like to swim in it because it's real clear, and the pools on it were, 4 or 5 feet deep, but most of it, it was like 2 feet deep and a bunch of sandbars, and you could motor into it with your, your big jacked-up truck and Jeeps, and I'm not sure how kosher that was at the time. But, yeah, just to see the flooding and people being picked off of buildings, it's a miracle only one person died.
It really is. That's extraordinary. And so kudos to the people who all pulled together to make sure everyone got evacuated safely, all but one, who I guess they have now recovered.
Yeah, again, it's just, and you go through, and when you're looking at property, et cetera, also anything close to being in a floodplain, it's not a good deal, because at some point it's going to go from, there can be a lot of rain. If you're in a floodplain, that's not a pretty place.
Yeah, but once in 1,000-year event. Speaking of 1,000, locked and loaded, Trump said if they do assassinate him, like they keep threatening to do, Iran last week with Khomeini's funeral had all these gigantic signs about Trump, we will kill you. Tons of them. He said, if you do, I got a plan. I've put orders in place. 1,000 missiles will drop on Iran if they keep trying to kill him.
Yeah, it
that
would
takes
not
some
be
nerve to be threatening the president of the United States.
It would not be a good thing for anyone, much
think?
less the president of the United States. But if another country assassinated a U.S. president, it's on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah. Yeah, but
it'll be.
He's saying there's already a plan in place. He has not used the N-word being nuclear, but he said 1,000 missiles are ready to go if anything should happen. They had a guy over here trying to kill Ivanka who had plans to her house.
Yes.
Which is another reason when, Lindsey Graham was one of, 10 people that they were threatening to kill at that Khomeini funeral.
Yeah.
You have to be like, let's do a full talks, let's do a full investigation. Hopefully it's natural, but...
And by the way, the people on social media who are seemingly gleeful over the passing of Lindsey Graham, oh my God!
It's every time.
It's so terrible. I
didn't always agree with him for his hawkish tendencies, but he certainly loved our country and worked hard to serve it.
I don't relish in the. Anytime that an American leader passes away by any means, by a heart attack, dealing with people who die in office in a crash or what have you, doesn't matter whether I agree with them or not. That's like last place. It's whenever you lose somebody like that, it's a tremendous loss.
It is, yeah, and it's.
Especially when you don't have room to lose conservatives in the U.S. Senate right now.
And that's why Mitch McConnell, senator, has been hospitalized for a month, did a proof of life post yesterday because people had been questioning whether he was still conscious or in a coma or what the deal was. He said he suffered from a fall, and he's not going to be back very soon, but he's still kicking. That's what the latest report is on that.
And I've heard people complain about this, about Mitch McConnell going through and recovering. Here's another little note. It wasn't that long ago where the Democrats had a U.S. Senator named Dianne Feinstein, who by all reports had some form of dementia, and it was really didn't know where she was from time to time. And there's been a real run of U.S. senators who want to serve till they die. Strom Thurmond, Robert Byrd, Thad Cochran.
Everyone in their whole orbit is depending on them holding that office for their jobs and livelihood. So it's like it's not just the senator that's looking for job security. It's like 100 or more people around the senator in the senator's orbit who will have big disruptions to their career paths should the senator retire or pass away. And so I think that's what's led to a lot of them hanging on past their, best buy date, I would say.
Now, do you think there should be an age limit on people serving office, whether for presidency, Congress, or the U.S. Senate?
No, I don't, because in Missouri, we have an age limit for judges at 70, and 70 is a totally different number for one person versus another. And I think that the check on that is the voters. And if the voters still believe that the person is worthy to serve, that should be their prerogative to pick that person to represent them.
Okay. It's part of me is the idea here is, and I used to be a big fan of term limits.
Yeah, I'm not.
I am not, mainly because I've seen some of the behaviors that have happened by state reps and state senators in our state that are not getting things done because they're trying to set themselves up for their next elected office.
And the lobbyists run everything. By the time they figure out how to do anything, they're termed out or they can be weighted out by lobbyists, especially government lobbyists. I go to these national conferences. People are like, oh, what we need are term limits. I'm like, we have those, and it's not working out as y'all think, as well as y'all think it will. They see
That's
it as
been
a
the big
panacea.
argument. Yeah, that's been the big argument about term limits for so long. All of your institutional knowledge will be in the hands of the lobbyists.
And it is. Like, when you have term limits, that's where that institutional knowledge resides. And that's who runs the show a lot of times, I think.
Yeah, and we've heard from lawmakers who say, yeah, that's not a bad thing. At least we've got them to go to get get to the crib notes version of what this legislation was over the last 10 years or so. So
I'd rather the people who get elected and are accountable to the people be the ones running things, not unelected lobbyists.
How old was Strom Thurmond when he got reelected? He was pushing 100 and did
Correct,
his
yes.
last term from what? His wheelchair and all that. And
He didn't run.
He wasn't that old.
He did.
Was he?
He was 94 because he died at the age of 100. He left Congress. He didn't run for re-election in 2002.
And Lindsey Graham took a seat.
Lindsey Graham took a seat.
Yeah, he was 100 when he retired, I think.
Yeah, and
those are some good genes.
And Strom died.
That's why a 71-year-old Lindsey Graham dying. It's kind of a shock.
Prime to prime.
All right. Well, I've got some leftovers. You guys get yours ready for when we get back to wrap up this morning on Wake Up Missouri. It's Jennifer Bukowski filling in with Peter Thiel.
It's Wake Up
what's the biggest wild animal that you would go and take a selfie with? This one man found out the hard way that you probably don't want to take a selfie with a massive bull bison in Yellowstone. He tossed this bison. Did you see this video? It's going viral. Tossed a tourist up into the air.
And this is an old guy wearing suspenders.
Over. 8 feet in the air, he got knocked. 8 feet in the air when the powerful herbivore attacked him. Yeah, don't try to go get a selfie with the buffalo bison. What? I don't know what the biggest animal I'd go.
Have you been to Yellowstone?
Yes, it's
the Black
beautiful.
Hills.
It's beautiful. You know to stay away from the bears, but maybe they thought, oh, it's kind of like a cow. It won't do anything to me. Wrong.
Oh, man, buffalo, when they do Sturgis up there and all the guys on the bikes go out for the ride in the Black Hills, you better give the buffalo right away because they're going to take it whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and moose. A moose is gigantic.
Yes.
I feel like in your car, it's maybe some protection from the moose, but if the moose really wanted,
well,
the
there's
moose
two
can mess your
things
car
with
up big
moose.
time.
You don't want to be around a bull during the rut.
Mm-hmm.
You also do not want to get between a cow and her calf.
Yeah.
And if you avoid those things with the moose and don't get too close to them, you're okay.
I wouldn't take a selfie with a moose. I know that.
Bulls or those buffalo, they're very dangerous unless if it's January, then they choke in the playoffs. That's the only time it's safe to approach them.
Huh. Gosh.
Yes.
Always back to sports with Drake Whitman over there. Who else has a leftover? Peter, John, you have anything?
I do. Could the push for more electric power for Missouri's data centers we're hearing so much about prompt a move to build a second reactor at the Callaway nuclear plant? Folks remember back to the original 1980s plan at the plant near Reform in Callaway County included 2 reactors, but that was scaled back to 1, and the governor is now behind it all. He recently signed that order that forms the Advanced Nuclear Energy Task Force. So
yeah, I think Kurt
who
Schaefer
knows?
is helping head that thing up.
Yep.
Nuclear is the answer. I don't
Yeah,
know
it really
why.
is.
It's really, yeah, we have invented the energy crisis, a big-time solution, and we need to utilize it more.
China has, behind the scenes, maybe funding Democratic Socialist wave in the U.S. politics. Also, former American expatriate who's a billionaire who's married to a Code Pink founder has been funding a lot of the anti-data center propaganda. Yes,
we've seen that. They're also maybe behind some of these so-called protesters. And Jason Smith, our congressman, has been having hearings on, looking into making not-for-profits disclose if they're taking foreign money and things like that, because it's a major problem when you have these out-of-country actors trying to get Americans to have discord and sow chaos in our country.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the amount of information, a lot of stuff that's being put in front of us. Remember when you're online and it seems like it's a conservative site, it may not be.
Yeah, they might be making a tool out of you. Useful idiots.
Yeah.
Mostly on the left, though, right?
No, there's
Did you see
a lot
this?
of...
Hunter Biden won $1.7 million in a defamation lawsuit?
And Hunter Biden is also trying to make a comeback right now.
He
I don't
is.
know. He's on a charm offensive. He's doing podcasts.
Oh,
he's doing
such
all
a
these
good
different
guy.
things.
I'm rooting for him, aren't you?
It's the first crackhead is back.
You know what? I love it. Come on back, Hunter. I want everyone to remember the Bidens as we head into 2028.
There you go. He's their legacy.
We still don't know whose cocaine that was, do we, in the White House? Did they ever wrap that up? They closed that investigation without solving anything.
It was Michelle Obama's.
It had been there since the Obama administration.
I doubt it. That stuff goes quick. All right. Well, that's about all the time we have. Thanks for letting me fill in today. Jennifer Bukowski. I'll be on Gary Nolan tomorrow at 10:30. And Peter Thiel, John Marsh, Drake Whitman. It's been great. Are you going to do it or should I? Bye.
Adios, amigos, amigas.
Bye.